Welcome to the NDTV Lifeline podcast. Today we're going to be exploring one of the most fascinating frontiers in health, the gut-brain axis, the gut-brain connection, right? And I have my guest today who's been working on this aspect for over 20 years. She's been trying to tell us that the food we eat not just impacts us physically but also mentally. It's a pleasure to introduce Ishi Khosla. She's a clinical nutritionist as well as an author. Thank you so much, Ishi, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Ambika.
You know, you've been working on this subject for over 20 years, and Ishi, you often call the gut a second brain, right? Just explain us the connect between the two.
Well, actually, there is this gut-brain axis, and the fact is that it's also called the enteric nervous system, the ENS, and scientists are calling it the second brain for reasons which are really very sound, because we find that most of the neurotransmitters that we require for mental functioning, for health and well-being, for happiness, are secreted in the gut by the microbiome. And apart from that, there are several other nutritional aspects also, which are nutrients which are important for brain health and all of that, which are being absorbed by the microbiome and the gut lining. So essentially, a simple one statement would be, if there is one message which is going from the brain to the gut, there are 8 messages going from the gut to the brain.
Wow.
And we have the longest nerve in the body, the vagus nerve, connecting that, the gut-brain axis. So we have now sort of rewound our understanding of the nervous system to, recognizing the importance of food and gut and the microbiome in dealing with common mental health problems. And I'm not only referring to the common ones, even the uncommon ones. Say, for instance, things like bipolar disorders and schizophrenia and mania. All of these can be, handled through the gut. And we are seeing the evidence of that, and it's pretty fascinating. And more than anything else, more than research, I see that in my practice. There are transformational cases that happen, and within a very short span of time.
So तभी हम सुनते हैं ना, कहते हैं कि the gut is trying to talk to us. हम brain को कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं, like you rightly said, they're trying to give us through 8, what you rightly said. But Ishi, tell us कि how do the neurotransmitters जो ये gut में produce किए जाते हैं, चाहे वो serotonin हो, हमारे जो decision making है या हमारी creativity पे किस तरह का influence कर सकती हैं?
See, जो हमारी happy hormones हैं, जो हमारे प्लेजर हार्मोन्स हैं, जो हमारी स्लीप हार्मोन्स हैं, जो हमें काम रखते हैं, वो सब 80 to 90% गट में ही हैं. तो और गट में सबसे ज़्यादा कांटेक्ट क्या आता है? सबसे फूड इज़ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट element that we can use to intervene at the gut level, right? Besides, there are other lifestyle factors as well. But what goes into the gut is our food, and that, if it is friendly for the gut microbiome, these neurotransmitters and hormones are going to be secreted in optimal levels, and we shall be our best. Potentially, whatever genetic potential we have, we will achieve that. इसको पीक परफॉर्मेंस भी कहते हैं. लेकिन अगर उसमें देयर इज़ इम्बैलेंस, गलत खाना खा रहे हैं, अगर हम इन्फ्लेमेटरी खाना खा रहे हैं, अगर हम gut unfriendly खाना खा रहे हैं, which are toxins and pesticides and chemicals, our gut microbiome does not like chemicals. It gets disturbed. जैसे हमारी soil है बाहर, तो soil में अगर हम chemicals डालेंगे तो जो कीटाणु हैं वो मरते हैं. They don't like it. So whether it is through antibiotics and medicines, indiscreet use of any kind of chemical, I'm not saying all chemicals can be wished away. Yeah. But when they are taken in excess or they are misused or abused, they affect our microbiome.
And now that you brought that up, I mean, unfortunately in our country, when we talk about antimicrobial resistance, we're number 1. Antibiotics ऐसे खाते हैं, like it's just very, very sweet or something.
Yeah. It's very sad. And I just, अभी एक patient मेरे कल ही आए, जिनको कोई भी liver problem नहीं थी, जब तक उनका H. pylori का treatment नहीं हुआ. वो H. pylori का उनको माइनर डाइजेस्टिव प्रॉब्लम्स थी. 15 दिन का कोर्स किया गया, विच इज़ नॉर्मल, बट उन्होंने प्रोबायोटिक्स वगैरह साथ में नहीं लिए. और व्हाट हैपेंड, few months later, he checked his blood work and his liver enzymes had soared to 4 times. And he was baffled. He said, I don't take alcohol, I'm a vegetarian, I'm eating so carefully because of my. And squarely, his gut became leaky. He developed a food sensitivity. He was reacting to wheat. He started millets and his enzymes fell to normal. And then he reintroduced wheat and again went out of whack. That's when he's come to me.
Yeah.
So, we see those connections are so real and,
So
and
we
so
need to-
important for people to understand.
important, and we all need to be mindful of what exactly we're really putting inside our body.
Yes.
लेकिन हम बात करें, आपने बोला gut health को, we need to take care of our gut health, right? Obviously it's an important organ. I mean, it's one of the most important organs, whether it's immunity हो, skin हो, everything, it's impacting us, right? लेकिन इसी बहुत contradictions हैं. जैसे कई बार कहा जाता है if you have a weak gut, आप triggering foods की बात करें, किसी को वो सूट कर सकता है, किसी को नहीं. जैसे for example fermented foods, or for example high fiber, they say oh it's great for your gut, if you've got constipation. So there's so much information out there. How should one navigate this? Should we have fermented food? Should I be having a lot of salad for dinner? Is it going to work for me? How does this work? Because too much information, too many contradictions.
I think too many generalizations and one size fit all, particularly in food and particularly among people who are suffering from health problems, is a problem.
Okay.
And like you said, fermented foods, for instance, well, they are wonderful for us. They help in the secretion of good bugs. They also carry some bugs, and they are like prebiotics. They induce good bugs. And well, if you have a bad gut and you have what we call SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, they can play havoc. And I see that in my practice, and people who are taking even sometimes things like idli dosa, they break out in rashes because they have a disturbed gut. So it's really who you are. Same with milk. Is milk good or bad? Milk is wonderful. Curd is wonderful. Milk products are excellent. So the problem is, how much can you tolerate?
What works for your body?
Have you lost tolerance, or you have tolerance to curd and milk, or not milk, or cheese and not paneer? It depends on who you are. So one size fit all doesn't. It depends on the quality of the bugs inside, and therefore if you have these problems, you need to address the root cause.
तो root cause कैसे address किया जाए? क्या ये preventive तौर पर can there be tests which one knows, like how do I know if I'm allergic to something, or कि मुझे दही सूट कर रहा है लेकिन पनीर नहीं करेगा?
So people are pretty intuitive, and so there are two ways of doing it. One is through laboratories, and tests are available. But having gone that path, you also need interpretation of those tests.
Yeah.
Today we have a food intolerance test, not an allergy test. Usually we don't use allergy tests for this. We have gut barrier panel tests. We have other gut microbiome tests and fecal tests, etc. But those are advanced tests, costly, and not for the masses, I guess. The simpler way is that if you suspect a few grains, one of the biggest triggers that we find in our practice today is the grains.
Yeah.
Particularly now that you're talking about grains, we will talk about wheat,
Yeah.
and not only gluten, but other parts. So wheat, corn, soya, oats.
Yeah.
And these are the 4 big ones which I pretty much tell my patients to avoid. And you go off these grains, and in a
So
certain
millets,
way,
then you
in a
come back
certain
to
way,
jowar.
do a Navratra kind of diet.
तो
Use
ज्वार
those-
हो गया, जौ हो गया,
well, not
Ragi.
not those. I'm talking about rice and some the samak rice and things like that. Simpler grains.
okay, which
And
is
not
more
the
doable.
coarse grains. Typically, because if your gut is injured, even coarse grains can be too much for you.
You're right, yeah.
So stick to simpler rice and dal kind of things for about 2-3 weeks. 3 weeks के बाद आप देखिए how you're feeling. And if you're feeling different, better, then seek professional advice, because this then compels you to customize your diet and make it optimum. And like I said, we have different pillars, different levels at which this needs to be addressed. Elimination alone will not work.
Yeah.
What is going to be replacing it? Are you a candidate for millets, or which millets? Are you a candidate for dahi or doodh aapko suit kar raha hai, nahi nuts? Typically these are the things, and then addressing the, like I said, rebuilding the microbiome, getting supplements in, getting the nutrition back in. So all that requires hand-holding and some kind of supervision. So it's a lifestyle change. So that's a simple way of doing it. So maintain a food diary, eliminate the grains which you think are bothering you, and then take it from there.
Okay.
So these are the
ways to kind of at
simpler-
least to start
yeah,
with.
Yeah.
Okay, so somewhere do you feel this whole Western obsession,
I'm
चाहे
sorry.
supplements की बात हो
हाँ.
या ये probiotics की बात हो, somewhere that obsession क्या आपको लगता है जो हमारी traditional diets है, जो हमारे पुराने जैसे लोग हमारे parents थे, grandparents थे, क्या कहीं ना कहीं ये shift ला रहा है which is actually not doing good for our gut?
Traditional diets are wonderful for your, traditional practices are wonderful, but वो traditional उसमें जो बदल गया वो traditional नहीं है. For instance हमसे बहुत बारी ये सवाल पूछा जाता है कि गेहूँ तो हमारे लिए इतना मतलब it has fed us for 10,000 years. It was not something which is new, and what is the problem? अब वो गेहूँ जो था और अब में
क्या
बहुत फर्क है. अब हमें आंतें ही बदल गई हैं because of processing. The gut has changed, the microbiome has changed. पहले पचता था, अब नहीं पचता. तो कहीं ना कहीं changes जो ecosystem में आए हैं वो हमारे को recognize करने हैं कि traditional था
environmental.
अब आप देखिए जापान में गेहूँ is never a staple. It's not a part of their traditional food. They don't even have this kind of a problem. Now it's beginning to surface in small amounts because of the westernization, the fast food culture which is entering there.
Yeah.
But they don't have these problems. So the environmental trigger has, not reached there, and therefore they are still in a better, state, and they have longest lived populations. Even here we do, but people who have been relatively protected from this industrial kind of changes and the technological changes that have happened in the food systems, they are better off. Even in our villages, they are better off. And and it's not only wheat per se. There are other things like chemicals through pesticides, through all the additives which are being used in processed food, so ultra processed foods, and too much of sugar. And to top it all, we have the the stress of what we call the geopathic stress, which is of gadgets and all the the signals that we are exposed to every day, which we can't wish away. All those things are certainly adding on to the problems. But having said that, Ambika, when I treat a patient, we treat simply by these 4 or 5 food-based things, and they bounce back. We don't change anything.
Yeah,
we
so
don't ask them to go organic. We don't ask them to remove their gadgets or do anything. With the existing ecosystem, we see reversals, and we see things that we never thought would be managed through food.
और अब वही पिछले करीब 20 सालों से been in this practice, you've been seeing कि what change food can bring in our lifestyle. But if I can ask you, Ishi, that what's the gut-friendly food which is your go-to on a stress day? Because we're talking about the gut-brain axis. I just want to come back to that. ऐसा क्या चीज़ आपको कहते हो कि I'm very stressed and anxiety कि मुझे ये खा के वो satisfaction मिलेगी, I'll feel a little really eased.
I gave up these trigger foods almost 14 years ago. So वो situation fortunately आती ही नहीं.
हाँ, so
but touch wood, and if I do, then I would pop in a probiotic, and I would take my favorite smoothie.
Okay.
Which is combination of all the superfoods and some fruits and some berries and some
so healthy eating.
Very very calming, and I particularly also am a very hot food person, so I like my soups and warming soups and can't ignore my cup of tea.
So you use the term probiotics, right? So एक prebiotics होते हैं, एक probiotics होते हैं, and we hear a lot of it. बहुत आजकल लोग कहते हैं prebiotic, probiotics, लेकिन and they are spoken together. इशी, क्या आप हमें बता सकते हैं कि इन दोनों के roles कैसे अलग हैं? I think there's इस पे भी काफ़ी confusion है कि कब
entirely different things.
हाँ, तो इसके बारे में अगर आप इस पे if you can throw some light.
See, probiotics, strictly speaking, are the microorganisms in a certain concentration, and they must reach the gut live. So that is the definition of a probiotic, and hence sometimes a curd does not fit in. It's a great food, but it doesn't fit into the scientific definition of a probiotic.
Okay.
So that is a difference, but people shouldn't get me wrong. That, but a lot of people take probiotics, take curd for getting their probiotic benefits. It's only partially true.
So what would be a good probiotic, be a few good probiotics?
Today we have them in the form of the drinks. We have these drinks available. We also have probiotic curds which have been designed to be that way.
The good bacteria.
Yeah, so they qualify. And then we have pills and powders. So those are also, they meet that criteria. And anything which doesn't reach the gut live does not really do any good to us.
Or prebiotic?
And prebiotics are the food on which these bacteria grow. So typically indigestible fibers and the starches that we have. For instance, I'll give you an example, like rice which has been boiled and cooked and cooled and refrigerated. Potatoes which have been boiled, cooked and then refrigerated work like prebiotics. So, it just changes the orientation of the starches, which becomes far more, it becomes what we call resistant starch, which works like a prebiotic.
Which is good.
Which is wonderful.
पर लोग कहते हैं ना जैसे बासी खाना हो जाता है, अगर आपने चावल उबाले और फ्रिज में रख दिया तो वो पॉइजनस हो जाता है.
नहीं
तो क्या ये सच है?
वो तो पहले तो खाते थे, अभी भी खाते हैं. In many even in India, if you look at the eastern part and Orissa, etc., they cook the rice and then they soak it in water overnight and they have it. It's like a congee.
Yeah, congee, yeah.
तो
which is great for the gut again.
Yes, it's a very, very good source of probiotics and prebiotics.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that. Moving on to another supplement, magnesium की हम आजकल बहुत चर्चा में है. That's one supplement. Gut health के लिए कितना ज़रूरी है?
See, magnesium has 300 roles to play in our body, right from our cardiovascular system to keeping us calm, to helping the kidneys to function, literally anything. And the way to understand the benefits of magnesium, understand the role. It is going to impact all the rhythmic activities of our body. Rhythmic activities means breathing, it means the heart beating, it means the gut contracting, right? And so if you want the gut motility to be optimum, it has to relax and contract, right? So that is going to be impacted by magnesium. You will find magnesium deficient patients will complain of constipation, they will complain of cramps, they will complain of headaches, they will complain of breathlessness, anxiety, all of that. And also in the skeletal system, a lot of times I tell my patients, you need magnesium, please take calcium along with it. Or we already have stones and calcification in our heart. But the problem is magnesium and calcium are friends and they have to be absorbed
together.
When
so they work
in a ratio.
Together. Yeah, okay. So
and the fact is, because you have calcification, it is a sign that you are magnesium deficient.
Oh, so that's another link. Like you rightly said, even for the cardiovascular initially as well.
Yes.
Okay, बात करते हैं exercise.
And that's very important for even today. I notice for cancers, particularly women who have calcification in their breasts. And there's a clear connection. And these patients, I ask them if they have a history of headaches and migraines, and they always literally have one of either constipation or history of
like one of the symptoms.
Yes.
Okay, exercise. We know it's great for the mood, right? But say mood off है तो चलो एक walk पे चले जाओ. Or any form of exercise makes you feel better. Is there a connect that if you're more active, if you exercise, it's also nicer and friendlier for your gut?
Of course, the endorphins, they
the same,
get
the good,
secreted. Yes, absolutely. And that's addictive. And that's, I call it a healthy addiction.
Okay, I want to ask you this again. It's a myth, right? I mean, I don't know if it's a myth, but people talk about fasting. So many fads, so many diets, right? Is fasting good for our gut health? कहते हैं ना कि starve करोगे, so like this, you think कि cancer cells मर जाएंगे. Is it generally beneficial, or it depends on each one's own body?
See, fasting really means giving rest to your system. And if you're focused on the gut, it certainly does affect your gut positively. Obviously, you can't abuse the lifestyle other than what you're doing during fasting days. If you have a decent lifestyle, that fasting introduced in your lifestyle will really help you. So you can't go party wild and then say, I'm going to fast and deal with this. Sometimes yes, but so overall
not extreme.
Not extreme. And fasting really is about all that you said. And there's a process called autophagy. Autophagy means the body itself digests the old damaged cells. It repairs itself by digesting those cells. That happens with fasting.
Okay, so
and certain good bacteria get secreted during fasting, and those are the beneficial bacteria. And so, even the gut lining gets repaired. So I must tell you that our gut lining gets broken down literally every time you eat something wrong. But then in robust bodies, it repairs itself.
Okay.
And that's the key difference when you talk about, say, wheat. It is damaging almost everybody in certain extent, but most healthy people are able to repair it.
Okay.
And those who can't, where the repair falls apart, then they begin to develop what we call a leaky gut. So to repair the leaky gut, fasting also helps.
So fasting is important, but I think the most important point जो आपने कहा कि lifestyle important है, ये नहीं कि आप 4 दिन कुछ भी करो and then say one take a fast.
Exactly. And fasting भी अलग-अलग किस्म की होती है, time restricted भी होती है, water fast भी होता है,
juice fast
होता है, fruits and vegetable fast होता है. So
वो भी देखने कि आपकी बॉडी को क्या सूट करेगा.
हाँ, और एक हमारी नवरात्रि की फास्टिंग वो फीस्टिंग होती है,
ऑटोमेटिक हो जाती है. अच्छा, ओरल हेल्थ की बात करना चाहूँगी मैं. उसका कहते हैं ना कि अगर आपका पेट साफ नहीं है तो ओरल हेल्थ में भी जैसे मुंह से स्मेल आती है. हाउ ट्रू इज द कनेक्ट अगेन बिटवीन गट हेल्थ?
वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, बिकॉज एक्चुअली अकॉर्डिंग टू द डेटा एंड द साइंस क्या होता है कि जो हमारा मुंह का माइक्रोफ्लोरा है, जो माउथ का है, वो हमारी गट का बहुत कॉरस्पॉन्ड करता है. इट्स वेरी सिमिलर. तो अगर हमारी आंतें अच्छी हैं, इन दे वी आर इन गुड बैलेंस, द माउथ also will be clean, and in fact we see that we can predict the overall health of a person by seeing the oral health of that person.
Yeah, true.
You know, so and you can therefore tamper manage your gut flora through your mouth. जो ट्रेडिशनल प्रैक्टिसेस थी ऑयल पुलिंग की, हफ्ते में एक दिन कोई मस्टर्ड ऑयल या कोई सरसों ये
कोकोनट ऑयल,
वर्जिन कोकोनट ऑयल या सेसमी ऑयल, उससे अगर आप 15 मिनट ऑयल पुलिंग करते हैं, एंड मैं तो ये कहती हूँ कि भाई आप कहें कि टाइम नहीं है, जब आप शावर में जाएं उस समय आप अपने मुंह में डाल दीजिए.
So it's cleaning the entire और उस तरह से आपके गट और इसके अगेन
उससे आप आपकी गट का माइक्रोबायोम बदल सकते हैं.
अच्छा, आपने ये ओरल हेल्थ के बारे में बताया. ईशी जी, आई नो इतने कनेक्शंस हैं. मैं आपके स्किन के बारे में पूछना चाहूँगी. गट हेल्थ और स्किन में अगेन क्या कनेक्शन?
इट्स अ मिरर. The state of your health, if your gut is going to reflect on your skin, and we all know that. And इतने बढ़िया इसमें एग्जाम्पल्स आते हैं जब हम देखते हैं अपने पेशेंट्स को कि जब हमने एलिमिनेट कर दिया गेहूँ और कुछ से डेयरी, समटाइम्स एकदम स्किन में फर्क पड़ जाता है, एक्ने चली जाती है. और फिर जब कुछ खाते हैं तो उसका एक साइन है कि वो पिंपल आ गया, तो कुछ इसका मतलब गट डिस्टर्ब हुई है. अब पीरियड के टाइम अ लॉट ऑफ गर्ल्स से हमारी एक्ने आ जाती है, क्योंकि पीरियड के टाइम हार्मोनल अपहीवल होता है, अंदर थोड़ा सा बदलते हैं, तो वो हमारा गट माइक्रोबायोम को डिस्टर्ब करता है, ट्रिगर करता है. तो वो अपने आप ठीक हो जाता है वंस द मेन साइकिल इज बैक टू यू नो दोज यू गॉट ओवर दैट टाइम, इट सेटल्स एंड द स्किन गोज बैक. बट उसी तरह आप कनेक्शन बना सकते हैं कि हमारी गट से हम अपनी एक्ने ठीक कर सकते हैं, अच्छे डाइट से PCOD ठीक कर सकते हैं, and in a very short span of time.
And sleep से भी बहुत बड़ा ताल्लुक है, immunity से भी बड़ा ताल्लुक है. I don't know कितने सवाल आपसे पूछूं, but जो मैं इस पे रिसर्च करी थी, everything is connected to the gut.
Everything, all diseases begin in the gut. तो Hippocrates ने 2500 पहले साल बता 2500 years ago he had declared that all diseases. I mean, I think we have lost the connection because of certain things that have happened in our way of looking at the body. But certainly today we have gone back to that, and हमारी जो research है वो भी उसको अब support कर रही है. और ऐसे ऐसे experts हैं जो pediatric gastroenterologist, इनका मैं नाम लेना चाहूँगी, डॉक्टर फसानो, उन्होंने बोल दिया है अपने एक पेपर में कि over 300 health conditions are linked to the leaky gut. And उसमें उन्होंने ये भी बोला है कि wheat is one of the biggest triggers of this. So ये हम देखते हैं 300 health conditions go under different names. Obesities, diabetes, high blood pressure, autoimmunity, cancer, mental health, skin problems, everything.
और प्रोसेस फूड ऑब्वियसली इसको और लीकी गट में और एग्रेवेट करते हैं.
100%. क्योंकि प्रोसेस्ड फूड में एक तो न्यूट्रिएंट्स कम होते हैं, फाइबर कम होता है, क्योंकि फाइबर जो है 2-3 चीज़ें बहुत ज़रूरी हैं हमारी गट फाइबर. गट, आपने प्रीबायोटिक्स की बात करी, एक तो फाइबर है, एक फर्मेंटेड फूड्स हैं, एक फ्लूइड्स हैं, एंड एक फास्टिंग है. ये हम 4 F अगर याद रखें
तो फाइबर, फास्टिंग, फ्लूइड, फर्मेंटेड
फूड्स.
ग्रेट. फर्मेंटेड के 1-2 अगर आप हमें एग्जांपल्स दे सकें.
हमारे हिंदुस्तान में तो फर्मेंटेड फूड्स क्या, कांजी, सबसे सिंपल। और जो पिकल्स जिनमें हम तेल नहीं डालते उसमें भी लैक्टोबैसिलस, जैसे विनेगर वाला पिकल, नींबू वाला पिकल, ऑल दीज पिकल्ड वेजिटेबल्स आर प्रोबायोटिक्स।
और कांजी तो बहुत ईजी, अब गर्मियों में एक्चुअली मौसम है कांजी पीने का। it also-
दही तो हमारे कल्चर में है ही, और बाकी तो केफीर है, कम्बुचा है, एंड किमची है। दीज आर ऑल फ्रॉम आउटसाइड, बट वी हैव आवर ओन indigenous treasure of
So,
foods, and dosa idli to hai hi.
Those are exactly. So these are all our traditional. But a takeaway for our viewers, our listeners today on NDTV Lifeline, on our podcast today.
I would just bless everybody with a BLESS. B standing for eat better, better quality, eat less, eat early, eat slowly, chew your food well, and I always say eat sustainable.
So healthy. But I have to ask you, I know sir, I said it was the last question. आपने जब slowly कहा, that also impacts the gut health?
Yes, because
I didn't speak to you about the times जिससे
Chewing.
पहले कहते थे इतनी बार chew करो आप खाना, 32 बार जब हम छोटे थे। लेकिन अब हम ये सुनते नहीं, ना ही किसी के पास टाइम है honestly।
नहीं है टाइम,
आते जाते खा गए।
मेरे हैं कुछ एक दो पेशेंट्स हैं, लिटरली एक दो ही हैं जो ऐसा करते हैं। लेकिन इसका मतलब यही है कि आप थोड़ा सा माइंडफुली खाएं, और जो डाइजेस्टिव सिक्रीशंस हैं वो उससे बढ़ती हैं, और फूड जो है वो बारीक मिक्सी की तरह पिस जाता है। तो वो जो लार्ज अनडाइजेस्टेड पार्टिकल्स हमारे लीकी गट में चले जाते हैं वो नहीं होता। तो लिटरली आपने उसको इतना महीन कर दिया कि वो आपको ऑलमोस्ट उसको प्री डाइजेस्ट कर देते हैं।
So better, less,
early,
slow, sustainable. So well, that's for bless, and the 4 Fs, I'm definitely going to remember those as well. Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrika.